Alright, let's rewind real quick. First of all, this video is sponsored by Incogni, and second of all, last year I assembled my dream Kerbal Space Program custom controller. Building fully custom control panels for Kerbal Space Program has been a thing since the very early days of the game, but my IT and programming skills are very limited, and so I resigned myself to the assumption that I would never be the owner of such a device. Enter Codapop, who launched a business creating and selling bespoke controllers to order based on the customer's design, and I of course had to seize the opportunity to commission one for myself, and well, that's exactly what happened. On screen right now is a little montage of clips from the video I made showcasing this controller build last year. But as time has gone on, I kinda wanted to expand its capability. Plus, Codapop had created some top secret new experimental modules for me to try out, securely packed into this secret paper-based overseas transportation containment unit. Of course, there's a small problem. I have two controller panel frames, both of which had no space available to accommodate more units, so I also had to have a new controller frame commissioned to replace my yellow 2x unit with a bigger, beefier, and bluer 4x unit. And here's some footage of me with my hands on my new unit for the very first time, wrapped in cellophane. I hadn't yet unpacked it, but here's a little montage of me opening it in a very excited manner. Very 2D at the moment, because yes, Codapop's untitled spacecraft controllers come flat packed and you gotta caulk them together. So my journey began by unpacking the controller parts and making sure they all fit together before starting the gluing process. Okay, so I've got it dry assembled. I have done it back to front. This bit needs to be there, so I'll take it apart, rearrange it. We've got the throttle. The throttle probably needs to go like there. This is a display, so that would probably be best to go there. So maybe that can go. I feel like the camera isn't a hugely important one. EVA controls. So now I've got to take all of this apart and glue it. And so, anyway, here's a time lapse of the final full assembly and caulking process. It does get a little bit messy, so I would highly recommend doing what I did and put some cardboard down or some scrap newspaper underneath your unit as you're building it, so you don't, mess up your kitchen counter or whatever surface you're building it on, really. And obviously the caulk isn't like an instant drying thing, so definitely try and hold it all together quite tightly once it's all put together. And then, I waited a couple of days before I then started cleaning off all the excess from the outside and putting the electronics all together. And well, I was pretty proud with the final result. And so there they are, in their fully assembled glory. But before I showcase them in action, I want to address the fate of my old yellow unit. I had to cannibalize it for the controller module, which I transferred to the blue unit, but I didn't want to just scrap the yellow unit entirely. Luckily, Codapop also sells blank face modules, primarily so that if you can't fully populate every space on your controller chassis, then you can have a plain fascia to cover up the hole. And so I had two blanks sent over for installation on the old controller base. As you may have noticed earlier, my order came with one with Codapop's logo on it and one with my logo. Yep, you too can have Lowne Aerospace's logo proudly displayed on your controller if you want. But it doesn't stop there. You can even upload your own design if you want, as long as it's monochromatic, obviously, and a bold design without complex dithering or shadows or whatever. Heck, you could even have one with Incogni's logo, who have sponsored today's video. Incogni is the ultimate solution to safeguarding your personal data from malicious data brokers and trackers online. Incogni relentlessly scours the web, automatically identifying and wiping your data from data brokers, sparing you the headache of dealing with them yourself. Why should you care, you ask? Well, picture your data being tossed around like a hot potato. If it ends up in the wrong hands, it could lead to denied bank loans, inflated insurance rates, and the looming threat of identity theft. The Identity Theft Resource Center's 2022 Annual Data Breach Report found that the number of victims has surged by a staggering 41.5% from the previous year alone. I personally would vouch for the annual subscription, as this ensures that Incogni will continue sending removal requests as long as you're on board, ensuring your data remains not just removed, but permanently off the radar. Join the ever-growing community bidding farewell to data breaches and embracing peace of mind. And here's my deal for you. If you use my exclusive code MATTLOWNE, you'll receive an incredible 60% off an annual plan. Seize that opportunity. Click the link in the description to fortify your privacy with Incogni today. Anyway, with the building of my new controller completed, and whatever my kitten thinks of my old controller aside, let's get down to brass tacks and play us some Kerbal Space Program with my Kerbal Space Program controller. Now, although I have two separate units, if you look closely at the side, you can see there are some little magnets. I don't know how well this is showing up on camera, so what happens is we just push them together. Ooh, I felt a good little satisfying clunk just then. And now they move together as one unit. So we're here in the game with the controllers connected and my logo here for emotional support. Okay, so I've just loaded up a stock craft for the purposes of this demonstration. So we can pull back and I can show you. So let's have a look at my new modules. So the new modules are this, the throttle and telemetry screen. Now I'm assuming the former is fairly self-explanatory. We've got this throttle gauge here that changes the velocity on the screen. So if I pull up my nav ball, and what's cool is that it has a precision mode as well. So we flip it into there. And now, max throttle on here only gets us to 25% on the nav ball. So it's just for like really sort of fine maneuvers. It's great for that. We'll leave it on normal. Telemetry I think is the cooler module because, you know, it's like a separate screen, right? That pulls information from the game. So if I get my fuel up, for example, that's a big way to look from the nav ball. But down here, I can press fuel. There you go, it shows my rocket's fuel levels, and this changes in real time. We've also got our orbital information. Obviously we're on the launch pad right now, so that might confuse the thing, but once we're in flight we can have a proper look at this, I think. We've also got our velocity and altitude information here. So what we'll do is we'll do a mission, and you can watch and see what it's like to fly. So before we can start, I need to take this key and insert it into my executive actions panel and turn it to activate. There we are. We've got our abort button here. Pressing that will obviously activate launch abort. We don't want to press it by accident, so let's keep that closed. We've got our joystick is set to rocket mode, not plane or rover mode. So we want rocket. Everything else is fine. This is my legacy throttle modules. I don't need to use this. Now I've got this one. I think that's everything. We want to have the nav ball up actually, so we just flick that. Makes the nav ball come up and down. There's the map one as well, which changes us to map view if we so desire. And camera, let's just zoom out a bit with the camera panel. I think we're ready to go. So I'm going to pop you guys on a tripod here. Throttle to max. We don't need RCS at this stage. Off we go. Now you're going to have to forgive me, I haven't used this in a little while actually. So, might be some relearning how to use this over a mouse and keyboard on my part. Let's get the camera at a nice angle. And yeah, as you can see, this is a full keyboard, and for me, keyboard and mouse replacement. I guess you do kind of still need the mouse for creating maneuver nodes and stuff, but generally, it's pretty good. Now we can actually use auto hold prograde at this point, and the rocket kind of just sort of flies itself. But you know, where's the fun in in that, right? Let's disable that, and we'll try and fly just with the joystick. And already, it's not I'm not as used to the joystick as I have WASD. I'm giving up, pressing auto hold prograde. We'll probably slow down a little bit actually, because we go quite fast for our altitude level. With that. Just have to hold that in place, I think, because the lever is a bit heavy. Just twist a little bit. Just drop out of auto hold because we are veering off course a little bit. So just going to hold 30 degrees on the nav ball. Okay, our apex is pretty high actually, so I'm going to throttle right down, and that's just point basically flat. Beyond flat. Need to the camera zoomed in a little bit. Okay, we have an apoapsis of 100 kilometers, which I think is fine. Let's auto hold prograde, and we can drop that lower stage. Alright, so make sure we're pointing along the maneuver node. And in fact, we can probably ditch the launch escape tower, right? So now we are, approaching our maneuver. And quickly show you some information on the telemetry screen. So we've got our maneuver plan is here. So our next maneuver in 44 seconds. It's counting us down for us. There's our apoapsis information, periapsis. Our orbital information is here. And there, my current fuel, as well as the Lecky levels and monopropellant levels. So let's now, we're nearly ready. Burn time 34 seconds, which means we need to be starting the burn in quick maths 16, 17, about 15 seconds, give or take. In fact, that's touching now, so we can throttle up. Here we go. And we're burning. Look at this. And can we use the maneuver screen? Aha. I'm just watching, waiting for the... I'm going to rely on this screen. This is very scary for me now. I don't know if it's going to work. I mean, it should work, right? But I don't know if it will. So here we go. So our periapsis is about to get into positive numbers. Here we go. Is that... Hang on, 19, okay. I was panicking. Okay, there's 50 kilometers, 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers. We're in space, 90. Okay, that's about... Oh, a little bit more. That's about... So 104, 97. Have we done it? Well, the camera has flipped. And yes, we have. Is that focused? 104, 97. So thank you, telemetry screen. So this is quite cool in a way. You can essentially fly blind. You can't quite, but it's quite cool that you can use your instruments like a real. It's like a real space center, right? Like this is it's dumb. It's much more difficult to precisely fly a rocket, but it's just so much more cool. It's so immersive, and just having these little switch. I'm going to turn this off before I start messing around, and then changing the throttle and stuff. And the staging button, this is so ready, 3, 2, unlock it. So I've locked it. So now when I press the stage button, nothing's happening. We can unlock it. It's now armed and ready. Can I get it both in screen? Oh, it's just I love it. Now we've done that, we can lock it again. And yeah, and then we can just clicking the map, just this onto that. How satisfying. And the time warp keys as well. It's and all the SAS, here. We can turn on RCS. Oh, and look at that! Now RCS is turned on. It's just like the satisfaction of seeing that little light come on by flicking a switch, and look, we have an EVA panel as well, so we get a Kerbal on EVA. We can control them, and look at this. We have their monopropellant showing us an actual gauge that actually reflects their monopropellant levels in the game. I don't know if this is a good way to film this. I've been struggling to think of ways to showcase this controller in gameplay, but we could just let go, and so have they let go? So we want to activate their jetpack. Oh, it's worked, and I'm now controlling this with the keyboard. Not with the keyboard, sorry, with the controller. This is really, like I said, I'm not super practiced with this, so let's just, up. Oh no, this is going really badly. Okay, I'm getting the hang of this now, I think. No, I'm not. Okay, get ready to grab. Grab! Yes, there's got a grab button there. And we have, in fact, used a lot of mon repellents. Let's, board. So, board. And we're back in the ship! It was terrifying, that, actually. I'm not going to do that ever again in my life. And yeah, now we can just continue on with our epic Mun mission, I guess. Now, it's not just KSP1 that this controller supports. It also now has support in KSP2, which I know is kind of a bit bittersweet because we still don't really know what's even happening with that game. But as you can see, the controller is supported in the latest version. You do still need the same mod to get it to work. It's called Simpit. If you get this controller yourself, you'll get full instructions about how to set it up. Okay. Oh, you know I gotta pause real quick to bask in the glorious launch sounds of KSP2. But yes, this controller works with KSP2. The support isn't quite as good as it is in KSP1, and stuff like the camera module doesn't really work since the camera controls differently in KSP2 versus KSP1, but the mod support has really only just been created, so this will improve with time. Or it might not if KSP2's development really is over. Man, what an appalling situation we're in right now. It would be nice to hear some actual news about our $50 purchases, right? Anyway, KSP2 dooming aside, these controllers are built on Arduino, and since they basically can mimic a keyboard and mouse, they aren't just limited to Kerbal games. Though obviously they are very, very specifically designed to be best for Kerbal, what with all the button labels and whatnot, but if you want, you can use the controller for other stuff. Here's Codapop playing Harvester's new game, Kit Hack Model Club, with his controller, and many thanks to Codapop once again for building and supplying these controllers to me. And he can build you one as well, so you may want to know how much to save up for. Well, you know, these controllers, they aren't mass-produced. They are hand-built to order, and every order is custom to you. So you are buying a bespoke product here, and so they're not cheap. I'm not quite sure how much a clone of my setup would come to, as I had the blue chassis and the 2 experimental modules sent over for free, business dealing and all that, but when I purchased my original setup, it came to $980 US, but you can commission smaller controllers for a lot less money if you want. I'm also kind of mindful that this video has been a bit more casual than my last controller video. If you want me to go over each and every specific panel, minus the 2 new ones I added for my new controller in this video, then I'd highly suggest checking out my previous controller video, linked in the description. I spent a lot more time talking about every individual button, dial and switch on the unit and how it works. As mentioned, these controllers aren't really going to make you better at the game, but you know that, and you know that's not why you want one. These things really crank the immersion up by a huge degree, and it's so cool seeing your ship's information displayed on a dedicated little device. It's hard to describe the feeling, which is a shame because that's the point of this video, but trust me, it's a good. If you want more controller videos in the future, then do let me know. I'm trying to think of ways to give you a good view of the controller itself and the gameplay on the same screen. I was thinking one way could be to record the footage in ultra-wide definition, and then there'll be space under the gameplay for controller footage when displayed in 16:9 aspect ratio, but I'll have a good think about other solutions as well. Is controller content something you want more of? Do let me know in the comments below. And if you want to go ahead and pick yourself up a controller, then I'll link Codapop's subreddit and store page in the description, as well as a link to my Patreon, who the amazing people on the left clicked as well, and sign up to support what I do here. Speaking of supporting what I do here, massive thanks to today's sponsor once again, Incogni. Click the link in the description to fortify your online privacy. And there should be 2 clickable cards on screen to other videos I've made. I'm going to make sure one of them is my old controller video, so you can check that out. The other one, don't know, YouTube just picked it based on your watch history, so hopefully it's a good pick. But that is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.